Hey, what's up guys? Tyler here with Secureteam, and I've got an extremely exciting video topic for you guys today. And it's one of the very first topics that got me into this research. If you guys remember back in the day, if you've been with me for years, one of the very first things I ever was extremely interested in with regards to aliens and UFOs was our own moon. And I probably don't have to tell a lot of you that our moon itself is an enigma. From the size of it, the distance of it from Earth, the strange way that it rotates and orbits our planet, how it came to be and how it got here in the first place, all topics we've discussed here on the channel, but we've also spoken many times about this documented activity. That's the best way to describe it, activity that has been and continues to occur down on the lunar surface and above it. Video footage taken during the various Apollo moon missions showing strange activity, and today I would like to further that research with some new images and some new video footage that may just prove how real this activity is. And I certainly think that it all links back to these mystery black triangular objects that are being seen time and time again. But as usual, you guys can be the judge, so the first thing I want to start off with is a new set of photographs that were recently submitted to MUFON of what is being described as a pyramid-like UFO caught flying past the moon. And so the viewer who submitted this was basically taking photographs of the moon with a high-powered telephoto lens when he noticed in the photographs this dark triangular shape. And one thing I noticed when zoomed all the way in is that you can really start to see the shape of this object, and it does look triangular in nature. And if you look just behind the object, it almost looks as if a shadow is being cast by the object down on the lunar surface. Because if you're seeing what I'm seeing, you can see the object, the actual object, which is extremely dark in contrast to the lunar surface. And then if you look just to the left of the object, we have what appears to be a shadow that is in the same shape of the object down here on the lunar surface. So whatever this could be, it could be, extremely close, just rising up from the surface. And obviously, if that's the case, that would mean this object would be massive. But it's certainly not the first one we've seen, and as we go on, you'll kind of get the idea of what I'm talking about. So, as I'm looking at this photograph, let's go to another similar photo that was taken in 2015 of once again another one of these triangular or pyramid-shaped objects. Now remember the term pyramid because we're going to come back to that here in a second with an explosive new finding. But this photograph also submitted to MUFON back in 2015 of what appears to be almost the same object that was recorded this year. It looks to be almost the same size, same shape, albeit captured in a different area of the lunar surface. It does bear an eerie and striking resemblance. Now, speaking of this pyramid shape, we're also going to go into some findings down on the lunar surface, some much closer up images, and that brings me to a new finding that was discovered by my friend and fellow YouTuber StreetCap1, who discovered what can only be described as a pyramid-shaped object that in my mind looks artificial. And well, here is a clip from his video.
I don't know what the odds are of spotting a triangle on the lunar surface, but this is definitely triangular in shape. What it is, I don't know. It's from the same photograph I used last night to upload the lunar anomalies and the alien sign, or whatever I called it. This is a bit strange, isn't it? Could be a craft. Now it looks like some sort of habitat here. This is from space, so I mean, we're really high up here. We're about 65 miles up when it takes these photographs.
Okay, so yeah, an amazing finding by StreetCap. He has an eagle eye when it comes to anything having to do with the moon, other planets, strange anomalies, just things that look out of place. And here we have what could very well be an ancient ruin, one of these pyramid-like objects seen above the moon. And similar to this finding, these, some would say TR-3Bs, which if you don't know is an experimental craft said to have been created down here on Earth. The government has always denied it. But as I looked at this object, another photograph came to mind, that with which you're seeing here, of yet another one of these triangular objects seems to be partially buried underneath the surface, but you can see a good chunk of this object. It has the curved corners to it, and you can even see the shadow being cast. So this thing is kind of sitting up, dug into the surface kind of sideways, where it's hanging over the lunar surface, so you're actually seeing the shadow being cast down on it from the sun above. But just notice how smooth it is, how perfect it goes around the corner here, perfectly rounded. And, you know, the more you look at these lunar photographs, the more, some have said, ruins that you find scattered. You know, we don't know what happened on the moon. There could have been some major cataclysm. There could have been way more activity back then, and something occurred, so you'll find a lot of this stuff partially buried, or it just seems like it's been sitting there for potentially thousands or millions of years. But then you get videos like this that actually captured these things, or at least the shadows of these things traversing the moon's surface. And this was something that we featured on our channel, sent in by a viewer with his telescope of one of these mystery triangles actually moving across the surface. And if you're on a mobile device, you may want to watch this video on your desktop or your laptop. That way you can get a really good look at these things and what's being seen in this footage. Here is a video that was posted by the YouTube user Crow777. We featured his stuff in the past. We even did a recent video of how his channel was terminated due to some of these lunar videos showing strange objects passing by that he was posting. So the more and more that you look into these photographs, the more you discover that not only are they being captured by amateur astronomers down here on Earth or in lunar probes that are, orbiting the moon, but they've also appeared a crazy amount of times in the very photographs that were snapped by our astronauts while they were down walking on the moon. And as you look at these photographs, each containing one of these mystery triangular objects, it becomes apparent just how ever-present these things were. So now many of you may be asking, alright, let's just say that these objects are up there, because the evidence would seem to indicate that. Where do they go on the moon? Where do they come from? Is there some sort of central base that they're going to or coming from? And that leads me to a video that I posted a year or two back where we had made a discovery down on the lunar surface of what appeared to me and thousands of others as what may have very well potentially been one of these massive bases, or arrays as we like to call it. And in that video I kind of went into some other of the strange artificial structures down on the moon's surface, so go ahead and check this clip out from that video. So in this new image that we're showing you here, which is actually from Ken Johnston Sr.'s personal Apollo image archive, and Mr. Johnston is the civilian astronaut consultant pilot, and this was discovered by Brett Collins Shepard, and it was originally posted by the Mars Moon Space YouTube channel, which actually goes by the name Mars Moon Space TV. And we will put the link in the video description to their video. Be sure to head over and subscribe. They're doing some great work. And again, as we zoom in, we see the Apollo spacecraft here high above the moon's surface, and over just to the left, down on the moon's surface, we see a bright formation of lights down on the lunar surface. And as we zoom in, this formation becomes clearer and clearer and begins to take on a more defined formation that definitely has characteristics of an artificial construct. Now, some have said that this may be an extraterrestrial base or some sort of lunar dish array. Now, we've shown you the images before of these massive satellite dish-looking objects that have been seen and are extremely famous when it comes to this research. They've been featured on multiple documentaries, videos. An image of these dishes you're seeing here, taken during the Apollo missions as well as the lunar orbiter missions, showing these massive, towering, satellite dish-looking objects sitting on the surface of the moon, pointing up into space, and they have everything the satellite dishes here on Earth have. They have the massive dish, they have this massive, almost metal, steel-looking mesh underneath them, holding the dish up. They have the spire in the center of the dish, and in my opinion, this could be an array of these massive dishes that we're seeing in this new image. It actually looks very similar to the dishes we see here on Earth, or via HAARP, if you remember, which was a weather modification program that had all of these massive dish-like objects and antennas lined up in very similar formations to what we're seeing in this moon image.
Okay, so yeah, it doesn't link directly to these mystery triangles, but I think it gives a good idea of just where they may be coming from and going to. And certainly if you follow the channel, you'll know we've done videos on not just these triangles, but other things around the moon, such as the domes. There's a lot of domes, glass domes, metallic-looking domes scattered along the moon's surface. We have found what appear to be vehicle tracks moving in a straight line. I'm not talking boulders or meteorites bouncing across the surface. We're talking about straight-lined tracks in the dirt that look to have been made by some sort of vehicle. We've captured other massive objects, circular objects, moving around the moon over the lunar surface. And so I think the evidence here is clear. Although we can't identify what these objects are, what they're coming from, you look at these videos, you look at these photographs, you look at what has been said by the Apollo astronauts themselves, by former NASA image techs who said that they witnessed these objects in photographs and did their best to blur and Photoshop them out. Well, at the time they didn't have Photoshop, but they airbrushed them out. Anytime they could find these objects, they would airbrush them out before they sent them to the public. And so, you guys tell me, what do you think about these new photographs, this pyramid-shaped structure found down on the moon's surface, and everything we featured today? I definitely think something is happening on the moon. We are seeing this proliferation of these triangular mystery objects, and I have no doubt that we'll be featuring more video and more photographs as they are captured. So if you have a telescope, if you have the means to get high-res footage of the moon, get it, see what you can find, send it in, and I'd be happy to feature it here. So be sure to share this video, like it, subscribe, stay tuned, and I'll see you guys back in just a bit.